Subhadra ki jai, Shri ki jai, Go Pranandi, all glory to Samana. All glory to Samana. All glory to Samana. All glory to Sri Guru Garanga. Glory to Sri Guru. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Veda Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna. So wonderful to be here in Radha Govind Mandir. Last time I came here was the opening of the temple. When was it? 2014. 2014. And of course when we came here they were so crowded inside we couldn't hardly fit inside. And we had all the festivals nearby. Very, very beautiful. Now I can see more clearly now because not so many people. Very beautiful meeting, very beautiful temple. Thank you very much for inviting me this morning. My pleasure. Now English is all right, everyone can understand? No problem. We don't need translation. So this morning we're reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is Adi Lila, volume 1 if I'm not mistaken. It's text 7, chapter 7, text 8, is that correct? Yes. Okay. Rasadi, is this written anywhere? Yep. Rasadi Vilasi Vrajalalana Nagara Vrajalalana Nagara Arayata Sabadeka Tanra Parikara Rasadi Vilasi Vrajalalana Nagara Arayata Sabadeka Tanra Parikara. Come on up. Rasadi Vilasi Vrajalalana Nagara Arayata Sabadeka Rasadi Vilasi Vrajalalana Nagara Arayata Sabadekha Tanara Parikara. Word for word. Rasa Adi, the Rasa dance. Vilasi, the enjoyer. Vrajalalana, the damsels of Vrindavan. Nagara, the leader. Ara, others. Yata, all. Sabab, everyone. Deka, must know. Tanra, his. Parikara, associates. Translation. Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the supreme enjoyer in the Rasa dance. He is the leader of the damsels of Raja, and all others are simply his associates. Purport. The word Rasadi Vilasi, the enjoyer of the Rasa dance, is very important. The Rasa dance can be enjoyed only by Sri Krishna because he is the supreme leader and the chief of the damsels of Vrindavan. All others are his devotees and associates. Although no one can compare with Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are many unscrupulous rascals who imitate the rasa dance of Sri Krishna. They are Mayavadis, and people should be wary of them. The rasa dance can be performed only by Sri Krishna and no one else. So, this chapter from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Lila The previous verses also, this verse, Panchatatmakam Krishna, very famous verse. Bhaktarupa Sarupakam, Bhaktavatara Bhaktakam Namami Bhakta Shakti, very famous. Actually, this chapter is so important that I remember when we were young devotees, that Srila Prabhupada, we didn't have all the Srimad Bhagavatams available to us. We didn't have Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. When we were, I was young brahmachari, we were selling Prabhupada's books, and he had already translated and commented on the first canto. And then at that time we didn't have any other canto. And we just got Bhagavad Gita. He finished, actually, I'm from Australia, and you can read in the Bhagavad Gita, I think in the end of the introduction, you can see he finished it in Sydney, Australia, dated 1972. He finished the introduction, and just after that, then it was printed. And then we got Bhagavad Gita to distribute. And so, as Srila Prabhupada was translating the books and giving his commentary, then they would be published and printed. And then we would get, I remember as young brahmachari, we would be waiting. We got the Bhagavad Gita, and we would open the boxes and like freshly from the printing press. And we could smell, oh, this is fresh book. And then Srimad Bhagavatam, then we would get the second canto. Oh, now we've got the second canto. Before we didn't have second canto. Now we're getting the second canto, part 1. We got part 1, part 2. First of all, we get part 1. Then we would be selling these books. Then we would get canto 3, and so on. And I remember one time, Prabhupada asked to see when he was visiting one time, Prabhupada asked to see the book distributors. And we were introduced, Prabhupada, these are all the devotees who are selling your books. And Prabhupada was very happy. He smiled, oh, you are so nice. He commented actually that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, my spiritual master, he was so happy, even if a devotee distributed one back to Godhead, some magazine, something like that, he would be so happy. Even just one magazine, he would be so happy. So you are distributing many. But he said, but one thing, are you reading my books? Are you reading my books? And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also commented, but just a bookworm reading is not sufficient. That reading, you have to read to understand, and to understand you have to beg the mercy of the Vaishnava, especially the senior advanced Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who can reveal more and more what is this instruction being given in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the Bhagavad Gita, and so on. So, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, there's one statement like that from him, where he said that we don't want to become just bookworms, that reading just for the sake of reading. He said if someone could be a great devotee like that, by doing like that, then all the professors of the world who are like the bookworms, read so many things, they are very scholarly, and they would be the most advanced devotees of the world. But we don't find that here much. Because just intellectual and scholarship is insufficient for actually becoming advanced. One needs the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that mercy is given through his very, very advanced devotees. So going back to this, we were getting the books, and Prabhupada at one time, he thought that maybe I won't live long enough. He always wanted to translate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. But he was thinking, as he was doing the Srimad Bhagavatam, he thought, maybe I won't live, because already he was elderly, maybe I won't live long enough to translate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So then he said that he translated, first he did the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, TLC we used to distribute. He did that. Then he did one little booklet, small booklet, and he called it Lord Chaitanya in 5 features. I don't know if it's still in print, but we got that booklet. Before we got Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, we got this little booklet. I remember selling it. We would be going selling it in the shops, in the street. We would stop and we'd be selling Lord Chaitanya in 5 features, and that book was based on this chapter of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. In other words, Prabhupada had told his disciples that he thought that this chapter was so important of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, this chapter, that at least I can give this chapter. If I don't live long enough to do the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita, then they can have this chapter. Because in this chapter, all the essence of the spiritual truths is explained very nicely by Krishnadas Kaviraj and Swami. Especially here it is mentioned, Panchatatmakam Krishnam Bhakti. This is a very important verse because as I said, all the spiritual truths are contained actually in this verse. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of course, we remember at the time that the Mayavad, the impersonalism was very popular. Monism, that the Supreme God is Brahman, is only the light, is not other things. Why are you looking for God? Other places, you are the God, I am the God, He is the God. Everyone is the God. Why are you looking? Everyone is the God. Why do you have to? So that was very popular. So Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Krishna, in the form of Lord Chaitanya, he wanted to show what is the varieties of the spiritual truth. Brahman is one level, but there is more. There are varieties. Now, of course, the Mayavadis, they will say that the variety is just the Maya. The spiritual perfection means just Brahman, Brahmajyoti. Of course, the Buddhists say the void. They say like that. So they say any activity, any variety of activity, that is the Maya. So therefore, the term they are following that the Mayavadis, they say this is the Maya. And so actually in this verse, in Krishnadas Kaviraj, he says that he describes Krishna as he is a Vrajalalana Naga. He is the leader of the damsels of Vraja. He is doing so many pastimes. One of his qualities is called Lila Madhurya. Lila, Krishna over and above even other expansions, Narayan expansion, Vishnu expansion, so many other incarnation expansions. Krishna has other qualities that the expansion doesn't have yet. Lila Madhurya, Prema Madhurya, Vena Madhurya, playing the flute, Lila, the pastimes, especially Rasa Lila, and the Prema, the love that he's exhibited, Rupa Madhurya. The form of Krishna is very exquisite, even more beautiful. The topmost super excellence, quintessential beauty is there in Sri Krishna. So these qualities are Rupa Madhurya, Lila Madhurya, Vena Madhurya, when Krishna plays his flute, that cannot be equal. And what are the Prema Madhurya, Rupa Madhurya, the form. I said all the four different qualities of the main form. So when Krishna comes, he distributed, when Lord Chaitanya, he wanted to sow these spiritual varieties. So it's mentioned, Pancha Tattva Makam Krishna, and that is the previous verse, that the 5 truths, Pancha Tattva, Bhakta Rupa Swarupa, Bhakta Avatara, Bhakta Shakti, these things are mentioned. All the spiritual realities are there in Pancha Tattva. It's like I just came from Sridham Mayapur, Sri Pancha Tattva Ki Jai. And I was just on Parikrama, all the different holy places of the Lord Chaitanya and all the associates of Lord Chaitanya, all the different holy places. This year I was telling Buddhimanti Prabhu that this year they had 12,000 devotees who went on the Parikrama. And they had like eight different groups going in the different directions. And I met one group at Harihara, etc., that they're from here, they're from Noida. One yatra was there, and then I talked with the devotees, said, we are from Noida, and we are from the Noida area, from Noida temple. And so they said 150. So they were doing separate parikrama. They were doing separate yatra. But general parikrama, 10 to 12,000 devotees. So many were there. So many. And so these are wonderful places and Panchatattva, the 5 truths. Now, Krishna had wanted to taste of the love of Radha. He came Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is the form of the devotee. If someone said to Lord Chaitanya, I am thinking you are Vishnu, you are the Supreme. No. He would cover it. No, I don't. I am just devotee. I am Bhakta. Don't say like that. He would cover it. I am not Supreme. I am the Bhakta. So he is the Bhakta Rupa. Svarupa, the immediate expansion of the Lord is the Lord Balaram. Bhakti Swarup. Swarup. Expansion. There's different expansions. An expansion of expansion, then Bhaktavatar. Then there's incarnation. Avatar. That is Advaita Acharya. We know Advaita, I was telling you, I gave class last month, Advaita Acharya. He combination Sadashiva and Mahavishnu combined to become Advaita Acharya. He descended to the Lord. And so he is incarnation. So and then you have Bhakti Shakti. Bhakti Shakti. Here it is mentioned, how it is said here. Bhaktavataram Naman Bhakta Shaktikam. Bhakta Shaktikam. Bhakta Shakti means that is Gadadha. Bhakta Shakti, the internal energy. On one side, Krishna expands, Balaram, he is immediate, then many expansion, then incarnation. Other side is Radharani. Radharani is the expansion on the female side. She is Bhakti Shakti. Internal pleasure, Ladini Shakti, pleasure potency. And of course then we have Bhaktakyam, the Bhakta, Srivas Thakur, he is the devotee, Jeev Tattva. So in Panchatattva you have all the spiritual truths, all the variety of the spiritual truths. The form of the Lord, the expansion of the Lord, the incarnation of the Lord, the Ladini Shakti, the internal energy, and you have Jiva Shakti. Everything is there. Everything of the spiritual reality is there in Panchatattva. So Prabhupada, he thought this was a very important chapter. And actually, when you read through this chapter, Prabhupada gives very strong purport, very strong commentary, makes very strong remarks in regard to what is the actual reality, in regard to the imposters, in regard to those who criticize, those who are following this path. He says many things like that, very strongly. And so he thought it very important that this chapter only be translated with commentary and gone to the print. And we were distributing this book, I remember, as young brahmachari, distributing so many of these Lord Chaitanya in 5 features. We were selling so many, just a little book like that, just this chapter. And so Prabhupada, and then of course, luckily, very fortunately, I think in 1975, Prabhupada began translating Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita in total. So this chapter very, very important. A lot of information is given here about the spiritual truths, about our position, the position of Krishna, the position of Krishna's associates, and the movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it's very nice that you are going through this chapter. But here, in regard to this verse, as I mentioned, where Krishna is Krishna Das Kaviraj, he said, Krishna is the natural leader of the damsels of Braja. This is the highest position. No one else but Krishna can dance with the gopis. Sometimes someone may imitate Krishna. Actually, Prabhupada makes a very interesting comment here, that he says, these people are like Mayavadis. Generally we think of Mayavadis, the followers of Sankaracharya. They are monists, or they are impersonalists, they're meditating on the Brahman. We think in this way. But Prabhupada actually says that there are some who dance like Krishna, they pretend to be Krishna, and then others take the position of the gopis. These are, Prabhupada goes so far as to say, these are like Mayavadis, because actually they're thinking themselves to be Krishna. You cannot imitate Krishna, and you cannot be the leader of the gopis. You cannot, because as Prabhupada comments in one other, I remember hearing a lecture where Prabhupada was saying that these gopis They are not, don't make a mistake. He said like this. He said, don't make a mistake and think that these gopis are ordinary girls. Or that Krishna is ordinary boy. Or this dancing is ordinary dancing, like the ballroom dancing or other dancing. Don't make this mistake. Don't be so unintelligent. Prabhupada went on to say, Avandananti mam mudha. People who think like that, they are the mudhas. They've got the ass-like mentality. They don't understand. Very thick brain. They don't understand these things. It takes more subtle spiritual understanding to appreciate what is Krishna's position. He is not an ordinary person. He is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And these gopis, they are not ordinary girls. They are expansions of internal potency. Ladini Shakti, they are the expansions of Radharani. Actually, all female side is expansion of Radharani. Radharani, gopis, and all the female of Vrindavan, Mathura, the queens in Dwarka, expansions, originally from Radha. And the Lakshmi, actually expansions, originally from Radha, all on that side, is expansions of Srimati Radharani. So the Radharani, Gopi is not ordinary. Don't make a mistake like that. He is not, Krishna is not man, he is God. Very interestingly, I was just reading from Prabhupada's statement here. So, why Krishna does when he comes to the world, now as I said, Krishna has quality over and above even Lord Vishnu and Narayan, in that he is, especially this Lila Madhurya, where that this pastime, especially Rasa Lila, this dancing is not ordinary dancing. And why when he comes to the world he dances like this in the middle of the night. And Prabhupada explains that actually just to attract us. He says like this, that you are fond of dancing, you are fond of sporting, you are fond of so many things. So just to attract you from the material dancing and the material sporting, Krishna, he comes here, he does the spiritual dancing. He does the spiritual sporting. It's just to attract you. Why are you less intelligent, attracted to these material things that are temporary and ultimately not the supreme perfection, end in suffering? Be attracted. You want to dance? Come and dance with me. The Prophet actually said it this way. You want to dance? Come and dance with me. You want to sporting? Come and sport with me. Even if you want to fighting, you can fight with me. You are like so many asuras came, they fought with Krishna. He said, so Krishna wanted to display all these leelas. These are called, especially the asuras, these are called, technically they're called Naimitika Lila. Naimitika Lila means when Krishna comes to the world, occasionally he is killing some asura. That in the spiritual world, in the Krishna Loka, Krishna doesn't kill asura. Everyone is involved. But in this world, so one can, if one is very fortunate, one can be asura like that. So ultimately, we see Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, with so many asuras, Kamsa. They were very fortunate, even though antagonistic towards Krishna. Still, they were killed by Krishna. They were thinking of Krishna, like Kamsa. He couldn't stop thinking of Krishna. Everywhere he looked, he was thinking Krishna's going to come and kill him. So night and day, he was always thinking of Krishna. So this is a type of meditation on Krishna. It's not considered the best type of meditation, but nevertheless it's considered a meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is preferable to the Mayavadis and preferable, of course, to the materialists who are just thinking varieties of activity in the material world. So just to attract us. So here, Prabhupada has commented in one other place, is that if you've got actual intelligence, it needs spiritual intelligence to understand, then you will try to enter into these pastimes, into this Lila, not the Lila of the material world, into this Lila. These pastimes, Rasa Lila especially, Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, are so blissful, so high, that we remember when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during the Chaturmas, he was in Sri Rangam area. Srirangam area, and many were inviting him to their house for coming for lunch and so on. And then one Brahmana there, he was with the Sri Sampradaya. His name was Venkat Bhatta. And he was the father of Gopal Bhatta, who later became Gopal Bhatta. At that time, Gopal was a young boy. And so Venkat Bhatta was very... Lord Chaitanya, every place he went, he was dancing and chanting. Like, you have to remember, Lord Chaitanya, he was 7 foot tall. Very tall. Just like Panchatattva in Mayapur, Lord Chaitanya is made 7 foot. Exact. Like that. Very big size. So he was very beautiful, moon-like face, effulgence, very, very beautiful. So, and then when he was every temple he went, he was dancing, chanting, crying. People were very attracted to him. People heard, they came just to see him. So many, they wanted to have him come to their house. They felt very fortunate if he could come to their house. So Venkat Bhatta, he invited Lord Chaitanya. And actually he went further. He said, now, it is the Chaturmas time. And generally, rainy season, and it's rainy season, he said. And generally not so good to traveling around, flooding and mud everywhere. So generally the sadhus would stay in one place and do tapasya, do meditation during the rainy season. So I said, why don't you stay in my house? So he stayed there, and they had many blissful conversations. At one time, Lord Chaitanya detected that Venkat Bhatta, he was a little bit proud of his being the follower of Lakshmi Narayan, and he felt that that was the supreme perfection. He knew that, of course, Lord Chaitanya, he was a worshipper of Krishna, but he thought that Krishna was incarnation of Narayan. So he was thinking like that, and he had a little bit pride. So Lord Chaitanya wanted to say some things to him. And he brought up, he said, your Lakshmi Devi, she is the wife of Lord Narayan. But how is it that she desired to go and dance with Krishna? Is that a very good thing? She is the wife of her husband, Lord Narayan, but she wanted to dance with Krishna. She is not the most chaste lady, married to Lord Narayan, but now she wanted to dance with Krishna. How is this? So Venkat Bhatta said that, well, there's nothing wrong there, because actually Lakshmi, Krishna and Lord Narayan are same. They are same personality. And so there's no difference, so there's nothing wrong for her, because actually they are same personality. But if same personality, why did she want to go dancing? Why she wasn't satisfied with Lord Narayan? The same personality. So you can read in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, this section, this conversation was going on. So she did a lot of tapasya actually to go and dance. She was so attracted to the Rasa Lila dancing, she wanted to go into the Rasa Lila dancing. But she was unable to enter into it. So this is a point Lord Chaitanya said. Still, she wasn't able to go inside. And so what do you think is the reason? And Venkat Bhatta, he admitted, he said that my mind cannot understand these more subtle things. He said, you are actually, I understand your position as Supreme Personality. You have to explain these things to me. So Lord Chaitanya went on to say, previously, these Shruti-ganas, the personified Vedas, they did tapasya, long time, and meditation and worship in the mood of the ecstasy of the gopis to go into the rasa dance. They were very attractive. They wanted to go in. Even they were worshipping Krishna in the mood of the ecstasy of the gopis, but still they could not go into it. But later on, they prayed to take birth as gopis in Vrindavan. And when they took birth as gopis in Vrindavan, then they were allowed to enter into the rasa dance. Said Lakshmi Devi, she wanted to go into the rasa dance, but keep her same body as Lakshmi Devi. She didn't want to take the body of the gopi. She wanted to be Lakshmi Devi, So therefore, she wasn't allowed entry into the Rasa Lila. Because to go into Rasa Lila, there has to be certain mood. One has to have mood of the gopi. The inhabitants of Brajdam, they don't have mood of awe and reverence. When Lakshmi Narayan, we have great reverence. When we're worshipping our deities, Radha Govinda and the Gaurnika, Jagannath, beloved Subhadra Devi, Prabhupada always told us, because we're neophyte devotees, we can't immediately jump to Raganuga Bhakti. Therefore, we have to go slowly through the Vaidhi Bhakti. We have to worship them not in Braj mood, but in Vaikuntha mood, giving respect and bowing down, and in reverential mood, not in spontaneous. So in Braja, Krishna enjoys spontaneous. He receives reverential mood in Vaikuntha, even in the Dwarka, in so many other places. And certainly so many offering their prayers to him in this world. But in Braj, he enjoys very much, sometimes even subordinating himself to his devotees because of their love. So there is more casual. There is more intimate. There he is just relaxing. My godbrother, I remember, he was giving lecture, and Bhakti Charama, he made an interesting point. He said, just like when a man goes to the office, he is going for the work. There is very formal. There he has his supervisor. He has to deal with so many things in a very formal way. But then when he comes home at night, then he can relax. He is with his family. It is not formal. It is relaxing. It is very more intimate. There's no formal thing. Can speak freely, can do so many things freely. So he said, he made the point, very good point. He said, just like that is like Krishna in Vrindavan. Krishna in Vrindavan is like, he is just relaxing, he is just enjoying, he is the supreme enjoyer. And no one can take the position of Krishna. No one can take the position of Krishna in Rasa Lila. Only Krishna can dance with the gopis. No one else can dance with the gopis. He expanded himself to dance with so many gopis. Prabhupada makes this point here in regard to this particular verse. That and so one time actually, some new bhakta asked me. He said that why everyone, Krishna is in the center. Why Krishna is in the center? Why everyone just follows Krishna? What makes him the center? And Banu Maharaj was with me, and we said that actually he is natural leader. And I think this word is used here, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe I read some other. But he is naturally, just like in any group. In any group, there's always someone who's very charismatic. One of the group, individual, very charismatic person. Everyone likes to be with that one. Everyone follows that one. I like to go with my friend here. So many others want to go with him. So many places. Because he's naturally charismatic. He doesn't have to try. Just everyone's very attractive. He has qualities that everyone is attracted to, therefore they want to be with him. So that is even in this world, it is like that. So in this, can you imagine with Krishna, he has unlimited qualities. His love is unlimited. How everyone is so attracted to be with Krishna. He is natural. He is not trying to be the center. Sometimes he doesn't want to be the center. He's not trying. If you have to try to be the center, then you actually are not the center. You understand this point? You have to try, you are not. Krishna doesn't try. He is automatically. So therefore, in this word, Vrajalalana Nagara, he is automatically, very naturally, the leader of the gopis. So this is Krishna. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is coming in a form to experience that Vrajalalana, that the damsels of Vraja, the gopis, and specifically Srimati Radharani. What is her love? How is I've experienced all things, Krishna, but that love that Radha has for me, I want to experience. So therefore he came, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and as I said, Panchatattva Krishna. Amami Bhakta. He came, all his associates, all the varieties, he come to this world, but we are very fortunate to come in the movement of Lord Chaitanya Maharaj. We're very, very fortunate to come in the movement. Because everyone has their Swarup Siddhi, their eternal relationship with Krishna. Now is covered, now we're conditioned. In the liberated perfectional state, that rasa is uncovered again, one resumes what is that relation. But Prabhupada explained to us, he says here in one purport later on, he said the mercy, the great fortune of joining Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement, even though we are the lowest conditioned souls in the Kali Yuga, and even though we may have our eternal relationship, our rasa with Krishna, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, one can be elevated to Madhurya Rasa. Madhurya Rasa. You understand this point? Maybe our Swarup Siddhi Rasa was Sakya Rasa or Dasya Rasa. But by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and the Sankirtan movement, we can go to Madhurya Rasa, the highest position of Rasa in the spiritual world. So this is the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. This is the mercy of Panchatattva. This is the mercy of the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ki Jai! So next week, of course, we're coming up to Gopurnima and the anniversary of the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of course, many of you have been to Sridham Mayapur. Practically, Sridham Mayapur, you can't, on the day of the Gopur, you can't move anyway. There's so many people that's coming in. And Sridham Mayapur now is crowded all the time because now the Namahatta is growing so big that every month they're bringing one different area of the Namahatta group to come for a parikrama. So every month one different group comes, the other month other group comes. So all year round Sridham Mayapur, they're coming to see Lord Chaitanya, Radhamada, Ashtasaki Brinda, Gopi, and Panchatattva, Lord Nrsimhadev, and so every month now, all year round now, very cool, very wonderful place. So Hare Krishna, thank you very much. If anyone would like to ask any question or give one comment, we've got a few minutes. Yes, I see one hand is there.
Maharaj, thank you very much for this lecture. You told so many things about the pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna. I wanted to ask the Jagannath Lila.
I will repeat it. Yeah.
Lakshmi Devi is there, and the Braj mood is also there. So Jagannath Lila, is it Braj mood or?
Jagannath Lila Brajamud, that is. Jagannath Lila is the highest Brajamud, that is especially Lord Chaitanya. And that form of Jagannath, there's one story that one time, there's many different stories that where this Mahabhav, Prema Mahabhav of Krishna, when one time in Dwarka, there was discussion of the I think it was Rukmini Devi was speaking of the pastimes of Braja and Krishna and the love of Radharani. When Krishna and Balaram came there, then they went into trance. Their eyes became very big and all their limbs went in their body. Krishna, Balaram and Subhadra Devi also was heard. They wanted to have the discussion privately. This is in Gorka. And they were having private discussion. And then Krishna and Balaram just happened to come in the door here. Subhadra Devi was guarding the door. And all three of them, at that time, their eyes became dilated. Their eyes became very big. Their limbs went in their arms, in their body. And this, by hearing the pastimes of the inhabitants of Braja, especially the gopis and Srimati Radha, they became like that form. And that's one instance. There was another instance when Krishna came to the solar eclipse at Kurukshetra. There the inhabitants came there, and when he was going back, he was thinking, well, again they became like that. There was actually 2 or 3 separate occasions where Krishna, Balaram, Subhadra manifest this ecstasy. So that form of Lord Jagannath in Jagannath Puri is actually the ecstasy of Krishna and Balaram and Subhadra Devi when they heard of the pastimes of the gopis and the love of Srimati Radharani for Krishna. They transformed and they became in that form. So that Lila is the highest separation of those pastimes. So that Jagannath Lila is Braj highest ecstasy, highest. So that, therefore, Lord Chaitanya, we see how he spent so many years, 18 years he spent in Jagannath. So you have actually, very interesting, you have Krishna in that ecstasy and Lord Chaitanya in the mood of Radha. He's calling Krishna, Radha's calling Krishna to come back by going to Gundicha, he goes to the Rath Yatra, goes to Gundicha. Calling back to Gundicha means like Vrindavan. Radha's calling Krishna back to Vrindavan by that activity. Very interesting, you can read many acharyas give the commentary on that.
Maharaj, how is Lakshmi Devi's position there? I mean, how does she fit in this whole scheme of this Lila? There is Lakshmi Devi, she is expressing her anger over Jagannath.
You're talking Lakshmi Devi with Narayan or what?
In Jagannath Puri.
Yeah, well, she has a separate, that is more, she's seeing Lord Jagannath as Lord Narayan. And then he leaves and goes up the she gets very angry when he doesn't come back. She goes and brings him back. You're my husband. Why you stay away so long? There's a lot of Lila, but her mood is different to Lord Chaitanya's mood. But still, she has a relationship, and she sees more in the Narayan aspect of that relationship of the Supreme Lord. She has a separate area there in the Jagannath Mandir. Many different deities are there inside. All right, any other questions? Yes.
Yeah, Maharaj. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for giving such wonderful point. I have actually one question that I in my mind that you said this sloka Panchatattva Atmakam Krishna Bhakta Rupa Sarupam. So according to that means Krishna is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all Atmakam Krishna means Krishna's associates, gopis and all, they become also acharyas in our Chaitanya Sankirtan movement.
Hang on, back up a little bit, what did you say?
Gopis and Manjaris, they become acharyas in our movement. In Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement.
They become acharyas in the...
Gopi, Manjaris.
So similarly, is there like 2 Leelas, in Krishna Leelas, it is going on, and similarly Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela, Navdeep Leela is also going on, and they are performing different kind of roles over there. They are dancing there, and here they are preaching. And similarly, can we think like that Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj, all the ISKCONs they are also doing the similar Leela in Krishna's first time, and also doing still they are performing the Leela here.
Well, I mean, the Guru is very advanced devotee. Now, of course, there are all different levels of Guru. And some are very high level of Guru, just like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We know that previously Srila Prabhupada, previously Manjari in the spiritual world, the Goswami Manjari in the spiritual world. So they have come, and when the Lord comes, he comes with all his associates. So in one sense, the movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very much in Manjari Bhav, because sometimes Lord Chaitanya, there's a few instances where Lord Chaitanya transforms himself and he exhibits the mood of a Manjari. He exhibits Radha Bhav and he exhibits Manjari Bhav, the Bhav of Manjari. So that also, the spirituality is very complex. Many different rasas are mixed in together. So sometimes mainly Lord Chaitanya wants to experience Radha Bhav. sometimes he is experiencing Manjari Bhava. Also, he thinks of himself as a Manjari, the young girl who go in and assist Radha and Krishna. Sometimes just Gopi Bhava and Radha Bhava. So he experiences all the different bhavas. And so the great acharyas, the very, very elevated acharyas, they have their situation in the spiritual world. They're also preaching in this world. So what level individual guru, I cannot say. But Krishna knows that thing, that guru, he knows that thing. So possibly they are in the spiritual world and possibly they are doing some Lila in this world simultaneously. But as I said, there are all different levels of the guru. So each guru has his Swarup Siddhi, his rasa with Krishna. And so, now Prabhupada actually told us, and you can read also in the Shastra, that in the spiritual world, Lord Chaitanya is also there. He has a different form there, but he's doing some Sankirtan medical stuff. So, inconceivably, all these things are going on simultaneously in Braj, Krishna Lord. All right. So maybe we can take one more question, if there's one more question, or then the last question.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj, Dandapana. Maharaj, I was listening one lecture in which it was said that Krishna disappeared from the Ras Lila.
Krishna disappeared
from the Ras Lila.
Yeah. Ras Lila. Yeah.
And it was also mentioned in that class that Krishna is Atmaram, he don't need anyone to be satisfied because he is self-satisfied. So I had this doubt that Krishna don't need me, or Krishna don't need anyone. So how I can be...
Krishna did not say.
Krishna don't need me because he is self-satisfied.
Krishna does the last Lila, but
I'm having trouble because there's echoing. That's the problem. He's speaking without the microphone.
Prabhuji is saying that at one time Krishna does the Ras Lila, but at the same time he's self-satisfied. So Prabhuji is saying that does Krishna need me?
Does Krishna
need me?
He doesn't. Krishna doesn't need more, but he wants more. He doesn't actually need. He's Atmaram. He's self-satisfied. But, we have to understand Krishna is unlimitedly expanding inside. His knowledge is expanding, his beauty is expanding, his Lila is expanding. So he's self-satisfied, he's fully satisfied, but he enjoys more and more and more. There's different tastes. This is something new. Oh, this is very wonderful. He doesn't need, he is self-satisfied, but he enjoys with different things. This is extra thing. Extra. You can be happy, but extra thing. Just like if someone can be full, but if someone gives some different type, I'll also take that. Even you're full already, you'll take that thing. you had nice sabzi, puri, and someone says, I'm full, I don't want any more. What about some gulab jamun? Oh, even you're full already, you will still take because different taste. So gulab jamun. One time Prabhupada said, yes, we have to associate with a very advanced devotee very nicely, and we have to learn the art of how to squeeze them for the nectar. He said, just like gulab jamun, when you squeeze the gulab jamun, the nectar comes out. So you have to know the art of how to associate and bring the nectar. So definitely Krishna is Atma, he's self-satisfied, but he enjoys more and more because he's expanding more and more. You understand? It's something a little inconceivable for our brain, because we are thinking very dimensional of this world. But when we advance, these things will be revealed more and more, how to understand all this stuff. Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Jai Shri Shri Radha Govinda Ki, Jai Shri Shri Govinda Ki,